Greetings to everyone out there in the No DQ Galaxy. Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw with WWE TLC only 6 days away. This was the Raw go home for the pay-per-view. Let's go ahead and get started with the recap. We kicked off Raw with the usual intro and pyro. We had Jerry the King Lawler in the ring. He was wearing a King of Love t-shirt, but unfortunately it was not about love, it was about divorce. Jerry Lawler was there to oversee the divorce contract signing, so we got another contract signing, yet it's in a different scenario between Rusev and Lana. Lana came out, the crowd chanted Rusev Day. She said for this one time she was going to waive the protection order against Rusev. Rusev then came out. He was very happy. Lana got on the mic and she talked about how she used to love Rusev even when the fans did not love him. And she talked about how success got to his head. And she added that it wasn't just Rusev, but also the WWE fans that ruined their marriage. Rusev then showed the footage from last week's Raw with Lana and Lashley being arrested. Lana referred to Rusev as a selfish monster and said that nobody will ever love him like she used to. Then Rusev was like, let's just get to the point here. Let's sign the papers. Lana insisted that she will sign first, and she also insisted on getting custody of their dog. But Rusev was like, no, I'm taking the dog. And then Lana called him a Bulgarian son of a bitch. This led to Bobby Lashley coming out, and Rusev said he wanted one thing. Lana said, of course, you just want sex. You want sex at the airport. You want sex everywhere. And she referred to Rusev as a sick person. Rusev was like, no, the one thing he wants is a match against her hot boyfriend, Bobby Lashley. Lashley said that Rusev is trying to make jokes, and Rusev's like, you know what? You want her, take her. She's just bad. Take her to Las Vegas. Do what you want with her. And at this point, Lashley attacked Rusev. They fought, and then Rusev gave Lashley the suplex through the table to end the segment. And apparently we are going to finally have these two collide this Sunday at the WWE TLC pay-per-view. Now, I know a lot of people did not like this segment. I did. I've been saying this for weeks. I've been enjoying this storyline. This has been one of the highlights of Monday Night Raw for me, and the crowds seem to enjoy the segments. The Rusev Day chants are back, and I'm having fun with it. Yeah, the acting is not good. It's cheesy. It's over the top, but I like it. It's a soap opera. I like my male soap opera, and that's what this is. And let's face it, wrestling isn't known for its quality acting, but I enjoyed it. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I have been entertained by the Rusev, Lana, and Bobby Lashley stuff. So, unpopular opinion, but I did enjoy this opening to Raw. With that being said, a lot did not like it. And yes, Adam, I have lost my mind completely because I like sports entertainment. What else can I say? Backstage, we had a Kevin Owens promo, and he said that he was the only person to get in Seth Rollins' face, and maybe that's why AOP targeted him. He said that he got away from the attack last week, and that's going to be a problem for AOP. He then met up with Rey Mysterio, and Rey gave him the seal of approval, and actually more than that, Rey gave Owens his lead pipe that he used against Brock Lesnar for later. Harold Warren with a $10 super chat. He says, to be honest, I don't know which show was worse, Raw or SmackDown. You be the judge. I think I gave SmackDown a B-, and as far as Raw goes, you guys will have to wait and see as far as what my letter grade is. Thank you for that, Harold. I do appreciate it. I'm always going to give SmackDown the edge, though, just because SmackDown is a 2-hour show. And even if I enjoy Raw, I still get tired by the third hour. I'm just not really in the mood for watching 3 hours of Raw every week. It's just too much, in my opinion, too long for a wrestling show unless it's a pay-per-view. A pay-per-view, you could do 3 hours, but I would not push it past 3 hours for a pay-per-view. And I've said this many times. People's WWE channel says I have no taste in wrestling. Hey, I like some things and I don't like some things. It's a mixed bag for me, but I do like soap opera stuff. I like when wrestling has some storylines. And they might not be the best storylines sometimes, but I'd rather have that than have guys just doing matches for 3 hours. So I'd rather WWE try something different and perhaps fail with a portion of the audience than to just do the same thing every week. And I know some people will say, well, they've done this type of storyline before. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. You're going to have repeats of these types of storylines. But to me, it's fun, and wrestling should be fun. We had Drew McIntyre defeating Matt Hardy. Drew cut a promo before the match saying that the show started off a bit depressing. I'm sure some people agreed with that comment very much. He said that he does have some good news, however, and he mentioned Matt Hardy's baby being born. However, he said that he heard the kid is cross-eyed, and he said that outside the ring, Matt hasn't really been making the best decisions, and he's not sure if Matt should be reproducing. He then said he's going to make Matt an offer. He's going to allow Matt to gracefully walk out of the ring and be with his family. Of course, Matt was against it. Matt attacked him, and Matt hit the twist of fate. We had the commercial break when we came back. Matt put up a decent fight, but in the end, Drew McIntyre hit the Future Shock DDT and then the Claymore to score the victory over the once broken Matt Hardy. And now he's just broken in a different way. Backstage, we had Charlotte meeting up with Becky Lynch, and Charlotte was like, we've never gotten along, but Charlotte said that she dislikes the Kabuki Warriors even more than she dislikes Becky, and wanted to know if Becky wants to once again become Becky Two Bouts. And then Becky was like, nah. Becky said she'd rather just take on the Kabuki Warriors by herself. And that was that. Then we had Kevin Owens backstage approaching Mojo Rawley. And Owens wanted to know where AOP was. Mojo screwed around with him, was pointing in different directions and pointed in both directions. And then Owens proceeded to slap the taste out of Mojo's mouth. Remember when Mojo was actually getting pushed? I remember. Next up, we had the Viking Raiders come out. They cut a promo in the ring. They said that they've been searching for worthy opponents, but they've only been finding victims. They issued an open challenge, and this led to the Street Profits coming out. Street Profits had a pretty hot start, and they got a near fall early in the match. There was a frog splash, 2 count, but Ivar broke up the pin. And we even had a moment where they were doing dueling cartwheels in the ring. So I guess the AEW influence continues to be clear, because we saw cartwheels on this past Wednesday's Dynamite. Vikings quickly made a comeback and picked up the victory with the Viking experience. But after the match, to kind of save face for the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders gave them some props afterwards. Then we had Seth Rollins' music hit. He came out, and the two teams were still in the ring. He said he has something he needs to take care of, and the teams can stay in the ring if they want to hear it, but they did not care about Seth Rollins, so they took off. Rollins basically said he wants to fight AOP, and then Kevin Owens came out, and Rollins was like, you know what, there's no need for the pipe. Owens said the pipe isn't there for Rollins yet. And then Owens was like, he just wants to know when they're going to show up, and the three of them are going to beat him down. Rollins again said he had nothing to do with AOP attacking Owens last week. And then we had the big screen with footage of the AOP arriving in a van. We had a commercial break. When we came back, Owens and Rollins were still in the ring, and Owens was saying when he's done with AOP, he's coming for Rollins. Rollins was like, you know what? You don't believe me, so I'm just going to leave. Rollins decided to take off to prove that he isn't affiliated with AOP. This led to Sami Zayn coming out. And yes, I'm not mistaken. Sami Zayn from SmackDown came out, and Sami cut a promo saying that he recently got a managerial license, which I guess means he can appear on either brand. So my question is Roman Reigns going to apply for one of these managerial licenses? Sami Zayn referred to himself as a liberator, and he said that what Owens did to Mojo Rawley was out of line. Mojo was out with Sami Zayn. So apparently Sami Zayn flew into Monday Night Raw anticipating that Mojo Rawley was going to need his back. So you have to check your brain at the door for this one. And Sami Zayn told his old buddy, Kevin Owens, that what Owens did to Mojo was wrong, and said that Kevin should apologize to Mojo. And then Mojo got on the mic and said, yeah, everybody's tough when they have a steel pipe in their hand. And Owens responded by saying, well, let's test out that theory. And then Owens proceeded to throw the pipe over to Mojo. And then he quickly took out Mojo with the Kevin Owens stunner, and then used the pipe on Mojo. Mojo's back got all bruised up, and he even posted a picture up on social media. Next up, we had Aleister Black picking up a victory over a very game Tozawa. We had a little Buddy Murphy promo from early in the day. He said he's better than Aleister Black and will prove it at TLC. Ha ha ha, good one there. I should offer a free t-shirt if Buddy Murphy beats Aleister Black. My guess is this is probably going to be on the kickoff if I had to make a prediction. But yeah, Black Mass, Aleister Black won. We had a Humberto Carrillo video package. He started to do this interview backstage, and that's when Zelina Vega appeared, and then Andrade appeared, got in Humberto's face. They started arguing in Spanish, and this led to a match. Really awkward setup for the match, in my opinion. Just felt very random. And the match was okay, although I thought it was a little sloppy. And maybe John Morrison can give Humberto a lesson on how to do a proper Starship Pain, because he did one, and it was basically this really slow motion looking Starship Pain, and didn't even get all of it. Jerry Lawler on commentary, great as usual, talking about how Humberto looks like Justin Bieber. Funny, I never saw that. I never saw Humberto as Justin Bieber, but okay, Jerry Lawler, whatever you say. Maybe he thinks Justin Bieber is somebody different than what I think Justin Bieber is, but who knows. Anyways, Zelina Vega got on the apron, and she ended up getting knocked off the apron. So for once, the interference from the heels backfires, and Humberto with a roll through pinned Andrade for what you could call the upset victory. After the match, they were teasing a breakup between Andrade and Zelina Vega, and hopefully that doesn't happen, because I think that the two of them have a good pairing. So I'm not sure where either of them would go if they're split up. Especially Zelina, I feel like she would get lost in the shuffle. Maybe she'll align herself with her husband, Aleister Black, although that really would not make much sense since they're very different characters. And Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, why haven't they changed the look of the U.S. title yet? Also, do you love anybody in wrestling as much as Robbie Vice hates Marco Stunt? I don't know why they haven't changed the U.S. title. You would think they would, since they changed the IC title, and I think the IC title had a much more iconic look than the US title, but now maybe they will. Maybe that's something that's in the works. And do I love anybody in wrestling as much as Robbie Vice hates Marco Stunt? Well, I'm starting to really take a liking to somebody else from AEW, Mr. Orange Cassidy. I don't know if I love him as much as Robbie Vice hates Marco Stunt, but I'll have to think about that one. I'm not really sure. I mean, there's nobody right now that I would say that I'm just completely blown away with, you know. And I know Robbie really doesn't like Marco Stunt, so not sure if I can name anybody at this point in time, but maybe if I think about it, I can give you a name by the end of the video. Let's see here. Where are we now? Okay, so Liv Morgan is coming back soon, and she's apparently getting a makeover. Now, the last time a female WWE character had this hyped up makeover type scenario was Emma. And we all saw how well that worked out. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out, but we'll see. I still think they should have done something with her and Bray Wyatt, but, you know, they didn't do it, so they're doing something else now. We had Rey Mysterio with a backstage promo. He said that if AJ Styles beats him, he will shake his hand, and he's going to do everything possible to prove that he's worthy of being the United States champion and all that good stuff. We had Zack Ryder versus Buddy Murphy. We had Aleister Black back in his dark room say that the biggest mistake Buddy Murphy ever made was knocking on his door and picking a fight with him. We had the match, and, you know, pretty much a squash here. Hawkins tried to interfere, and he got taken out. Zack Ryder tried to make the save, but then Buddy got the upper hand, hit the Murphy's Law, and it was all she wrote for Zack Ryder. We had Kevin Owens backstage, and he finally found the AOP van. He then took the pipe, he smashed the van. AOP jumped him. They were not happy about their van being vandalized. They slammed the door in his face. And then there was a guy in the van who Owens had tried to grab before he was attacked by AOP. The guy turned around, pulled off his hoodie, and it was, in fact, Seth freaking Rollins. Rollins then said, "It's come to this, Kev. I'm sorry." He then gave Owens the curb stomp on the concrete. AOP were standing right next to Rollins, and Rollins walked off. We had our commercial break. Virtue was like, they gotta nip this in the bud here with the Seth Rollins heel turn. They gotta shoot the angle, and that's what they did this week. So Virtue called it. He's like, they gotta do it soon. Good job, Virtue. You were a genius. We had Seth Rollins after the commercial break come out to cut his big heel promo, and he's like, "What do you people want from me? I did everything right. I don't take nights off." He talked about how he sticks up for the fans and the media, yet he gets spit on and disrespected. He said it was the truth when he said he had nothing to do with the AOP attack from last week. He said the truth just isn't good enough for the people. He said that Kevin Owens could not lace his boots, and when Owens called him a liar, all the people believed him. They jumped on the bandwagon. He said that what is good enough? He said he beat Brock Lesnar twice, and that still wasn't good enough. He said, does he have to kill himself to get the people to accept him? He said it's time for him to push back. He said it's time for him to stand side by side with the AOP. AOP came out, and it looks like we finally have this faction formed as we were anticipating for the past few weeks. I thought it was a really strong promo. I liked the setup for it with the van. I liked the whole thing was really well done, I thought. So there you go. Seth Rollins officially full-blown heel. We had Kevin Owens being taken away in an ambulance, loaded up. And he was on the stretcher, had the neck brace on, all that stuff. Next up, we had Becky Lynch versus the Kabuki Warriors in a handicap match. Becky had the match won several times. She had the Asuka lock on Asuka, but Kairi made the save, and then Becky had the disarmor on Sane, and that's when Asuka came in to stop the submission. Asuka then used the steel chair for the disqualification, and they brought a table out from under the ring, and Kairi Sane did the insane elbow from the top rope through the table onto Becky, and there you go. Becky Lynch and Charlotte back-to-back weeks get devastated by the Kabuki Warriors. We had an OC promo with AJ Styles, talking about how the Viking Raiders can run, but they can't hide. I'm guessing this Sunday we're going to have Anderson and Gallows against the Viking Raiders. And AJ said that if Randy Orton sticks his nose in his business again, they just might end his career forever. Or they may end it for life. Speaking of that, NWO going into the Hall of Fame along with Big Dave Batista. I'll talk about that in a few minutes once I finish the recap. We had Eric Rowan come out and he faced some enhancement talent. The guy actually stole the cage and ran with it to the stage. He dropped it off at the stage and then circled around, got back into the ring when Rowan was checking on the cage, and he told the referee to count. Rowan, though, noticed the count, got back in the ring. He gave this guy 3 claw slams, and the referee was like, enough is enough. He called for the bell, match was thrown out, and then Rowan hit a 4th one for good measure. We had the Kabuki Warriors interviewed in Japanese, and then they talked in English, challenging Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. And back in the training room, Charlotte, who was attacked by the Kabuki Warriors, attacked from behind, because Charlotte had asked Becky, like, how did your match go? And Becky basically blew her off. Charlotte left, and then she was attacked. So both of them were in the trainer's room now, recovering from their beatdowns, and they agreed to the match. However, they're going to up the ante. It's going to be a TLC match this Sunday at the pay-per-view. Then we had a Monday after the weekend update with the Street Profits. They proceeded to preview TLC, talk about the matches, make a bunch of, in my opinion, really bad jokes. I have to say, Google Home has better jokes than the Street Profits. I did not laugh once during this whole thing. But again, some people liked it. I liked the Lana Rusev stuff. Some people hated that. So, it's all subjective. We all have our different tastes, but I thought this was terrible. Apparently, it was some kind of Saturday Night Live knockoff or homage. Probably why it was so bad, because Saturday Night Live, as Virtue says, 25 years too late. Hell, let's try like 35 years too late. Again, I've said this before. The last time I found Saturday Night Live to be funny was when Mr. Bill was on it. And that was probably before I was born. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Just going back and watching old stuff. Like, I did like Mr. Bill, but not a whole lot else. And we had the main event match. We had AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. OC came down. And Mysterio got distracted. We had the commercial break. When we came back, Rey made his comeback. He went for the 619, but Gallows took the bump. He basically shielded AJ, and he took the fall from the 619. And then Mysterio. So let's start off here talking about the end here of Raw. We only had about a minute left. I'm looking at the clock. It's 1 minute to the top of the hour, and I'm like, they got to wrap this thing up because there's no overrun. They end right at the top of the hour. So I'm wondering what the hell are they doing here? They're running out of time. So Rey was going to do this move, and then AJ grabbed him and was going to try to do the Styles Clash from the second rope, but he lost Mysterio. The move was completely botched. They stalled for a few seconds trying to figure out what to do. Styles gave him a power bomb and then set that up into the Styles Clash, hit the Styles Clash, and then Randy Orton appeared, ran into the ring, but did not attack AJ. He slid back out. AJ was distracted, and then Rey Mysterio, with a very awkward-looking inside cradle, rolled up AJ, and this was happening as the credits were popping up. We had the credits show as Rey was doing this inside cradle, so the timing was just completely off for this. The whole end of this show was just very awkward looking. And yeah, Rey Mysterio retained the U.S. title against AJ Styles. And yeah, they went off the air right as this was all happening. They barely got to the finish, and then the show quickly ended. So yeah, kind of a mess of the match at the end. And like I said, 3 hours of Raw, it's a lot to digest. I did enjoy some things on the show. Let's put the People's WWE channel on timeout. I think that guy's just trolling. We got to slay that troll, as Virtue might say. So let's go ahead and do the letter grade. I liked some of the things on this show. I think we could largely agree. Thank you, Chris Mace. I think we could largely agree that the Seth Rollins stuff was pretty solid. I think the general consensus was that that was really good. Probably the best thing on Raw. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, Are you growing out the beard again? No. I'm just being lazy right now. He says, also, if CM Punk does not come back in time for WrestleMania, who will Seth Rollins' opponent be? Good question regarding Seth Rollins. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for Seth Rollins. I'm trying to think of who would be a good choice. I mean, they may end up dragging the Kevin Owens thing out to WrestleMania. Who knows? I mean, you got the Royal Rumble. They could both be in the Rumble. You got Elimination Chamber. So theoretically, they could just drag it out until WrestleMania with Kevin Owens. I mean, I don't even know if they're going to do a match on Sunday. I mean, they could end up announcing something. But so as far as Raw goes, I liked the beginning. I know a lot of you didn't. I liked the Kabuki Warriors, Becky Lynch, Charlotte stuff. That was good. So there were some solid things. Some things not so good. You know, some filler. I'm going to give Raw a B-, which I think I gave SmackDown also. You know, I thought it was decent. Didn't think it was out of the park great or terrible. I just thought, you know, pretty standard show with a couple of memorable things on it. Caitlin also gives it a B-. Michael Wayne with a C. Mr. Anderson with a B. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a C. Joseph with a B-. CC Drink with a B-. Jeremy Dorset with a B-. Harley with a C+. J-Spin 401 with a C+. And Alex James with a B. And more faves with a D+. Mixed bag here. Seeing a lot of B's, seeing a lot of C's. Now, real quick before I sign off here, I did want to address the Hall of Fame inductions. NWO and Batista headlining the 2020 Hall of Fame class. I'm not surprised by either of them. I figured the NWO would be going in, especially with Hogan being back. And Batista has been rumored for a long time. And once he had his retirement match at WrestleMania, I figured that he would be going in at any time. What I am surprised is that both were announced for the same class. I figured NWO could headline one year and Batista could headline another year. So I'm a little surprised that both are being inducted the same year. And then some people were surprised about Sean Waltman going in with the NWO. I figured it would just be Hogan, Hall, and Nash, but I guess X-Pac, if you're Triple H's buddy, you get in twice. What's funny is that X-Pac hasn't gone in yet as the 1, 2, 3 kid, so I think he's going to be the first person to go in 2 years in a row, and on top of that, the first person to go in twice without actually going in on his own as a solo act. So kind of interesting there. And Hogan was ridiculous. On social media, he was referring to X-Pac as the fourth guy of the NWO, which is wrong. It was Big Show, a.k.a. the Giant. And then if you count Ted DiBiase, he was fifth. And then six, X-Pac was number 6, of course. So yeah, a little off there, Hollywood, but it's okay. I mean, I like X-Pac, and I think the guy's underrated, especially in that WCW period. I mean, he was a great heel in the Cruiserweight division, and, you know, I think he added a lot to the cool factor of the group. So I don't have a problem with X-Pac being part of it. I feel bad for Big Show that he wasn't part of it. And as far as who's going to induct the NWO, I mean, I could see Bischoff. I really think Eric Bischoff would be the right pick to do it. He would be the one that makes the most sense. And then as far as Batista goes, I know Batista stated that he wants Fit Finlay to do it, which I guess is fine. I could also see WWE having Triple H do it, or Randy Orton doing it, one of those guys. But we'll see. I mean, it's already a pretty loaded Hall of Fame class, and maybe WWE just feels they gotta sell a lot of tickets for this event. Last year, I don't believe was one of their better attended Hall of Fames. Maybe they feel like they gotta load it up more. And it's also interesting because they usually announce the Hall of Fame in January, the first person in the ticket sales and all that, and they're doing it earlier than usual. So there you go. Batista, NWO, headlining the Hall of Fame this year. That'll do it for this video, this live stream. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. YouTube.com/AaronRift, no DQ. Tell a friend. Please spread the word. Any word of mouth goes a long way. If you have a friend who watches wrestling, have them check out these videos. Keep voting in the NoDQ.com Decade Awards. And stay tuned later this week, AEW recap along with predictions for TLC. And 1 second here, Darren with a $5 super chat says, "Hey Aaron, here's some Taco Bell fundage from me and Carla. Who would you want to go into the Hall of Fame this year?" Well, going off of what a couple other people said, Owen Hart. I'd love to see Owen Hart. He's like at the top of my list. British Bulldog. But of course, we all know the story about Martha Hart and how she's not going to allow it, and WWE's not going to go against her wishes. As Christopher Mace points out, Christian would be a great choice too. Jim Cornette, as Virtue said, would be hilarious, but I don't see them doing it, especially right now with the timing. How about Scott Steiner? Steiner Brothers. Tic-Tat-Tat just nailed it. Steiner Brothers Hall of Fame. Do it. Scott Steiner. I think WWE's just scared to give him a live mic. I seriously do. Like, that's the reason it hasn't happened yet. Ken Shamrock is another good choice. I like it, Tic-Tat-Tat. Definitely Ken Shamrock. Vader's not in it, and that sucks that they didn't induct him when he was alive, but we all know how it goes. So, yeah, Steiner Brothers, Vader, Owen Hart, British Bulldog, Ken Shamrock. Those are my top choices. And Ken, terminated by Google with a $5 super chat, says, "I am not surprised with the releases. Are you surprised that the Canellises and the Bennetts are not released?" Well, they're one and the same. Canellises/Bennetts. I mean, I know Mike Kanellis asked for his release, but I don't know if WWE wants to release Maria, especially when she's pregnant. So it's kind of a weird situation. I guess if WWE wanted to let Mike do his own thing, they would release him. But do they really want to split them up? I don't know. I mean, I would think that Maria would go with Mike if they were going to leave. But we'll see. We'll see if he's next on the list. He hasn't been announced at this point, but you know, we could still see more releases coming in the next several weeks. Now that they've released some people, I mean, this could just be the beginning of more releases to come. So that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your viewership and support, and I will see you guys next time.